Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke, together with Reverend Daniel Meadows on this Saturday, the 27th of November, on the 23rd of October in the 9th year of Chonglukuk. Let's begin with a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chariot, Kyombe, Paro. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 1. 전국 주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 본연 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조 이사인 기산 천국과 천산 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 1. Our family, the owner of Chonglukuk, pledges to seek our original homeland and build the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, the original ideal of creation, by centering on true love. And, maybe you can ask Tsuneko if she can offer the opening prayer, please.
Let's pray. Dearest Heavenly Parent, parent of humankind, we truly know the special time for our condition to restore all humankind, especially we belong to South Pacific Asia, is very important, like yesterday. Father truly given us chance to restoration with all nations together. And because such a unique country, each nation, Oceania, and different culture background, and also deep history. Therefore, it's to parents and every parent, such a different perspective, and many times also to parent visiting, and many times to they felt the nature and also so close to that your heart. Therefore, we just very important to the position to Oceania in region. Father Mother, please guide us to all your perspective for our nation. And also today we every day we do have condition to realize each brothers and sisters to what we should do in this time. And also today, Reverend Daniel Meadows to his word to us to realization of importance of in this time, and please guide us to each one of us. And I report James and all blessing family. Adieu.
Adieu. Thank you, everyone. And let's give a warm welcome to Daniel as he shares this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Can you see shared screen?
Yeah.
And when I Alt tab, you can still see it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good morning, everyone. Today I wanted to share some things that about husbands and wives, I guess, or about our true mother. Mother, we've been obviously reading our True Mother's autobiography recently, so we've gotten a whole lot of wonderful information about how the kind of victories she's been winning and the kind of work providentially that she's been doing throughout her whole life. especially recently, we were looking at the mother's successful tour in Africa, how she went to what we could say is like a mother continent. Japan is the mother nation, but True Mother was talking about Africa like it was the kind of mother continent, because that's where it's reckoned humanity was came from, the cradle of modern human beings from Africa. And yeah, so we really read a lot about how she went there with the heart of a mother to kind of dry the tears of Africa and meet her children like Prophet Rabadi and this kind of thing. And I remember when she finished her tour of Africa, there was a really big gathering of leadership, and this was a bit after, I think it was a Chonilguk meeting, and anyway, there was, Mother was really speaking quite strongly, because there was going to be a lot of changes of leadership, and you know, and this was all after a lot of victories, and so new directions were coming. And although she was really, you know, very calm and composed like usual, she was really pretty frustrated. And she was saying that when she declared that she was going to do a tour of Africa, that she said that no one supported her, or no one agreed that she should. And then she was kind of, you know, waving her finger a little bit and saying, but look what I did. See, I went and did it, and it was really successful. We had incredible gains because of that, that victory in the African tour. And so she didn't want to hear any more unfounded words. And I felt so sorry for True Mother, that even in her position, many people didn't take her opinion seriously, or they felt like they knew better and knew and had the authority to question or overrule what Mother was thinking and deciding to do. And so she was, you know, you could really tell that she was very, a little bit upset. And this is the time when she appointed Reverend Yoon as the international president. She mentioned, she said, the only person who believed me and supported me is Reverend Yoon. So, and then she kind of stopped and she looked at everyone and she said, what do you think I'm going to say next? I appoint Reverend Yoon as the international president. I thought, whoa, go Mother. And yeah, so it really, I felt that must have been very difficult for Mother, that she, even up to, it was in 2019, so even up to then, she seems like she has to prove herself again and again, and you know, still keeping a very calm and you know, appearance when she's coming before members. But you could tell she was thoroughly sick of having to do that. And so that was a very interesting experience to kind of see that in action and be like, oh wow, like she's really, it's not easy for True Mother. Even she's the True Mother, it's not easy. She really has to push and convince people. And so I felt, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I really, really, my heart goes out for Mother, and I really hope that we can be much better supporting to her. And recently, what's True Mother saying? She's talking about she's really focusing on North and South Korea unification, and that's why you know, she started the rallies of hope. Of course, there was also coronavirus, and she was trying to bring members together, and she was trying to give a lot of hope to the outside world that they can change the world even in this kind of situation. but also the big underlying hope and direction is that we've got to unify North and South Korea very quickly. We've got to, in the next couple of years, we have to bring the Korean Peninsula together, centering upon True Mother. That's the direction. And so now we've had these, the think tank, 2021 and 2022, these huge, amazing events where we've seen these people like President Trump and President Abe and all these really high-level people come together for North and South unification. And I was actually contacted by a lady from some kind of group that studies religious work of religions to bring harmony and peace in society. And she contacted me saying that, oh, listen, I've been accepted to talk about Rally of Hope. So can you send me, some information and opinion? I'm like, my gosh, wow. There's people who, like, I had never heard of her organization or her, and but she was a PhD and she, was part of this organization. They picked up Rally of Hope as something that's working towards helping all of the broader community. So we're making waves that we don't know about, or True Mother's making these waves that we don't know about. So it's very incredible to see how things are going. And I had a look when I was thinking about this morning, I had a look to see what was on this day today, what was being talked about 30 years ago, 40 years ago by True Father. And so I went on to good old trueparents.org and had a goosey at his speeches. And want to guess the title of what I found? 30 years ago on this very day, Father was talking in Hawaii, and the title of his talk was True Mother's Role. I was like, whoa, that's pretty poignant, because that was like, that was in the ballpark of what I wanted to talk about. And I'm like, whoa, 30 years ago on the day, True Father's talking about True Mother's role. True Mother's role isn't a recent thing. It's a very, well, it's at least 30 years old to be talked about. I'm sure it's much older, but this is some of the points that Father said. Not necessarily in any particular order, but there was just a couple of points that I stood out to me, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna definitely mention these ones. So Father says here, he says, now this is near the end of the speech, he says, this is the final period, the final stage. God prepared everything. By the spiritual world's power, Kim Il-sung can be changed. He can be taken to the spirit world even tonight. This is Mother's age. Father is preparing to put Mother in Father's place. So even way back here in the 90s, the very early 90s, Father's saying, God's preparing for Mother to take my place. I'm not going to be here, in the position I'm currently in forever. I mean, of course, True Father's True Father forever, but he's already talking about Mother's going to take my place. Even, I guess it was 20 years or around closer to 20 years before that, but it's 30 years now. That Mother is going to be in the position that Father was in. And this was only a couple of days before True Parents went to North Korea to meet Kim Il-sung. So if you remember in the autobiography, it says, well, that before True Parents went to meet Kim Il-sung, they went to Hawaii, and they were there for, I think, 30 days or so. They were there for some time. preparing their hearts, especially father had to prepare his heart, which again is very interesting. I thought, yeah, that's interesting. I thought father was just superhuman. He could just, it doesn't matter what anyone does. I just love them. It definitely, he's cultivated that kind of ability and that kind of heart. But when I read that even then, to meet Kim Il-sung, true father and mother had to go and prepare themselves for, I think, if memory serves, it was about 30 days to prepare their hearts so that they could approach Kim Il-sung with the proper heart of a parent, so that true father could love Kim Il-sung like a true father, or like a true parent, because he must have had so much sorrow in his heart for what Kim Il-sung's regime had done to Korea, and what it had done to father directly, and what it had done to his family, his church members, the people he knew. It must have been a whole lot to really work out. So it's in that time that father that says this speech, when it's only a couple of days. It was on the 30th that father travels to North Korea. And then, interesting, the following year, that's when mother sets up Women's Federation for World Peace. So the biblical name for this age is the age of the heifer, right? It's the age of the mother, the age of the bride. That's the completed testament age. And so when I thought about how mother was really, from very early in the autobiography, when she's becomes, has the marriage of the Lamb and takes on the role to begin to take the position of true mother, the first thing she has to do is she has to unite together with father completely. And we see that in our, providentially, we see that so much when there's a central figure in there, usually their son, has to unite together with them. Like Isaac had to unite with Abraham completely in order to inherit his role, and in order to also make a proper foundation of faith. There's that unity needs to happen. So true mother had to completely unite with true father, even kind of to a degree that was crazy, where he would, tell her not to just stay in the room for like 7 years, kind of essentially always be in the background, and just don't you talk or don't you think or do anything without my express permission, like really in crazy levels of unity. And mother was able to do that. She went through that very difficult and heartbreaking process in order to unite together with true father and inherit everything from him. And we read that she, once they were really united, they were so, mother really listened to father, father really listened to mother, and they planned together, and they were so happy and really united together. So it's very important is very important for husbands to unite with their wives. This is kind of the principle that God really put down for husbands and wives, is that we really unite together. So mother and father had the providential unity to happen in order to restore Eve, but for all of us, we have a much more what would you say, original, more Garden of Eden type of becoming into unity in a sense. And I remember what really brought on this thinking was I took a reading with Claire Doherty, and one of the things she recommended, she said, you need to listen to your wife. you need to listen very carefully to your wife, because God will tell her things that he won't tell you. And I thought about that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why would God tell my wife things that he wouldn't tell me? And she said that, you know, your wife connects to God's feminine side. Many women in general, they have a much more sensitive connection to the things that God says. So they complement the husbands in this way many times. And so she says, I must listen very carefully in order to receive these important bits of information that I may miss. And so I tried that. I thought, okay, yeah, maybe I should, all right, I'll listen to my wife a bit more. And when I started to make an active effort to listen to my wife, I realized, to my shock, I haven't been listening to her properly. Even though I thought I'm a very good husband and I listen to my wife, I realized, wow, I haven't actually been such a good listener at all. And because I started to realize that a lot of the things she would say to me were actually very, very helpful. Previously, I kind of, when she would say something, I guess I would just think, oh, well, you know, it's all right. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to, sure, thank you for the advice, but that's all right. I know what I'm doing. And I realized that I had a habit of not listening to her as carefully as I ought to. And once I did start to, I found that, wow, she's got, the things that she says are very helpful and very insightful. So spending that little bit of extra effort really was a great victory for our couple in the process of uniting. So recently we actually modified the office in Belgrade so that both of us can work here in the office space. And I was a little bit worried to begin with. I thought, I know that, you know, husband and wife are unity and should be together and things, but I thought, oh, Jesus, this is going to distract me. I'm not going to be able to work as well if my wife is there. Surely, like, she's going to talk to me and ask me stuff. Oh, man. But to my surprise, I've actually been much more productive. So when she's there, I'm a lot more focused. And yeah, and so I kind of have to reassess my thinking of oh wow, if I have my other half there, then not really a lot of things can be done. So that's that's kind of our original way to be with our 4-position foundation. That's to achieve this the unity of husband and wife with God, centering upon God. And the children are they appear once that union comes, that husband and wife are supposed to become one flesh, united with God. Two must become one. We have to stop being one, and we have to become, we have to stop being one and becoming 2 equals 1. So, true mother, she represents all women. And when we unite with our spouse, we connect with that side of God that we're not able to connect on with ourselves. And that's kind of the purpose why man and woman should come together, as the woman connects to the masculine side, the man connects to the feminine side, and then we complete each other like Jerry Maguire. And that's when God, we really become like God, so much so that we create life. So that was very interesting for me to observe and to realize, to be like, oh wow, I'm not as complete as I thought. Of course, we all know we're not perfect, but Father goes on and speaks some more interesting words. He says, when you are blessed to Japanese women, do you regret it? Is it difficult? It is not easy to unite completely with the opposite side. And he's talking about when the Japanese sisters, the mother nation, they were blessed to so many different nationalities. You know, Father sent them out to kind of in this providential move. He says, to save the world, Father made international marriage. Adieu. But next April, Japanese women will be blessed to brothers throughout the world. These couples will come to Korea and the women will march to North Korea. And this was the very interesting part. If 600,000 women march into North Korea, what will Kim Il-sung do? Unification women should work harder than communist women. So it seems to be, he seems to be eliciting and you know, that women have this big role to play in the future, and especially in the coming of the unification of North and South Korea. And when I think of him saying this, well, I think of the First Lady's Summit in Palau. That again, like it was in the, as we mentioned just a few days ago or the other day, that, you know, Palau's one of these nations, the island nations, they have that strong, there's a very matriarchal culture there, especially in Palau. It's a women's nation, a nation guided and, you know, by women. And who came to, of course, Mother was going to come, but we had Yonanim and Hunsuknim. They came and attended the First Lady's Summit in Palau. These two strong sisters who are directly under Mother. So I think we saw the power of women working in Oceania, and that was perhaps a foundation for the coming of this maybe movement of women who will change the face of the Korean Peninsula. It also brings up an interesting point about the current providential leadership of our movement, that we have kind of like a trinity of women who have their spouses supporting them, their husbands supporting them through the spiritual world, from the spiritual world. It's a very unique type of unity. So when Father went into the spirit world, they entered the era of Chunilguk kind of from both the spiritual and physical sides. Father entered it from the spiritual side, Mother entered it from the physical side, in this kind of cosmic advance with both spirit and physical world. And then, you know, when True Mother gets up on stage, usually she's flanked by Yonanim and Hunsuknim, who's their spouses, the elder brothers. They are in spirit world as well. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I'm not, I mean, I don't know 100% what it means, but it's very interesting. The age of women, with these incredible women leading the Providence at the moment, and bringing up the younger generation. Shinanim and Shinchimnim, and now they're blessed as well. So it's an interesting kind of full position foundation going on. So let's listen to our wives. The biblical reading here is husbands, see that you love your wives, and wives, reverence your husbands. It's kind of a husbands love first, and when you invest that love, then surely your wives will invest back that love. They will return with interest this love, and then if you return back that love, then with interest, then they will also return back, and you'll have. That's when this give and take action starts, and you start growing. That this was, you might recognize, I'm quoting Dr. Yong there about the family values. So thank you very much, brothers and sisters. Have a blessed day. Adieu.
I do. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for sharing that with us. That brought many thoughts to my mind when I was listening to that, and it is very interesting that 27th of November 1991, literally 30 years ago, Father is explaining about preparing to put Mother in Father's place. It's something, my personal experience when Father ascended, I had, many of us had, I'm sure, very, very different feelings, mixed feelings, what's going to happen, but I was, I really felt, and I was sort of sorry that was the only way for Father to make sure that Mother could take charge. Because I often felt about the subject-object dynamic that there's an underlying assumption that men think any woman should be object to them. And so I always found this dangerous thinking from subject object, and it's sort of an assumption because subject object, the object follows the subject, and men are male and men are subject and women are object. But I always felt that it's very easy to start to think that every woman is meant to be subject to me, a man, and and that's a real big mistake, because there's only one Adam, there's only one Eve, and there's only one subject-object relationship for each person. But because we don't highlight that so much when we talk about object and subject and subject and object, it's very easy for men to think any woman is their object. And I think that's an underlying assumption with many men, whether 100% conscious or not conscious, especially in our movement. And that's why I think leaders, we talk about Mother's era, and I thought you were going to say in your thing, these three women. I was thinking, well, what about the rest of the leadership? How many men are still in leadership compared to how many women? I mean, there's very, very, very few women in leadership when we're in this time of women leadership. Yet there's still men, and not just in our movement, but in every nation. I mean, you look at the government, how many women really are in government? But when I was thinking about this, and you're saying that, sorry to Mother because the leaders are pushing Mother and not really listening to her decisions and critical of her decisions. And I'm just wondering how much underneath is this assumption. I mean, I see it in myself accidentally when I'm talking to different people, thinking, treating all women as my object. And I think that's a big mistake. I hope that's just not my own flaw. That's a common flaw that many men have. But and I can see how it's very easy to say, oh, the leader is just being passionate and trying to say their point of view, and actually trying to get Mother to change her point of view. And that's when Father ascended, I was happy and sad, and for two reasons. I mean, happy, and I was thinking, at last, Mother can take charge, because people got no choice but to listen to Mother, because Father's not there. Because if Father was here, still everyone would be listening to Mother, then checking with Father, is that right? I think for this mother's role. I mean, like you said, 30 years ago, true mother's role. And they even said in that same thing, by spiritual world power. So true parents like us can't do anything on our own. We have to do it with heaven, with our heavenly parent. And so I think this is really a big point. And I still think this woman-man dynamic and still hasn't been fully understood by us. So I often think, women, I mean, you mentioned when, what was it, 600,000 women walk to North Korea, what can he do? And all of these mothers, I mean, it just shows the power of this time, the power of mother, and that we really need to connect with mother, because when you do, then miracles happen. And I felt it was, there's many reasons and different things that God can use any circumstance, but it would have been so much better, I think, if people treated mother the same as we treat father from the very beginning. They were true parents in 1960, and yet we still treated mother totally different. And this statement, father is preparing to put mother in father's place, it's so easy to take that two ways. One way is father is changing to put mother there. Another way is father is training mother to put her there. But it's easy to take it two ways. But I think, father is really saying that mother is already there. Mother is already mother and has been mother since 1960, the marriage of the Lamb. And it's just father has to finally do something dramatic to be able to let mother take charge. And I felt it so sorry because of our limitations that father had to go to spirit world so mother could act. And I really felt that when father ascended, because we weren't going to change. And I still think too many men think every woman is their object. And I think that's a huge mistake too. Anyway, I'll stop there. So thank you. Open it up to others. Yes, Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely, John. I was thinking the other day, actually I received the same, the person who asked for a review of the Rally of Hope was Alexa Blonner.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but yeah, and when I was thinking about it, I thought, I was writing about in response, and I said, well, one of the things is diversity. And then I thought, well, we don't talk about diversity so much in our church, right? It's not part of our general language, and inclusiveness, which is very much a big thing within society now. And then I started looking and I saw, oh, look, they're all men. They're all men in those power positions. And of course, we have our Women's Federation events and so forth, but I reflected on it then and, oh, yeah. And even in mother and there's 3 women in very prominent positions, but after that, you go down after that level, there's not so many women, of course, Kathy Rigney and so forth, and is a notable exception, but yeah, so I've been thinking about that. And then also, when you asked about the sharing, that we share on Sundays or give our testimonies, I realized, it's all the men who've been doing these wonderful things and going to all these conferences, and even my own thinking was, oh yeah, I should talk about the ocean providence and so forth. And then I thought, well, actually the ocean providence didn't happen without my spouse going through, a lot of suffering. And so, or, you know, just quietly in the background. And if there's this chance for the sisters, like, especially, you know, when I heard Jeff's testimony in Africa and about his wife, you know, I know that Japanese are not so willing to, Japanese women in particular sometimes aren't so willing to be public speakers, but we really miss that side of the of our history, and I think we need to hear more of it, because it's not the flashy role out in the front so often. Some of the Western sisters more are involved very publicly, but sometimes the women behind the men are the ones who are actually doing the hard work and picking up where we drop the ball, and as so often happens. So yeah, that's a sort of a subject that we really need to think about more. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. So true. Thank you. Yes, Randall, go ahead.
Good morning. I was talking at with the Solomon Islands meeting one time, and I said, well, there was a question of how come so many religions start wars, and I said, well, a lot of the problems, you know, the wars are started by prime ministers or presidents that take the role of you know, try to step in to religion and things like this and say, oh, God is on our side, we can do this and that and the other thing. But the problem of prime ministers and presidents are usually just a gang. And so that's why within the unification movement, we don't have a leader like that. When there's just the one man that's the leader and makes the decisions, then sure, then you know, he can get this sibling rivalry going with the neighboring nation and create a war. And I said, yeah, but within the unification movement, we don't have a leader. We have two leaders. We have a father and a mother. And basically all the church areas, it's great when there's, you know, a couple there that is in the leadership role, and being able to understand that, yes, I'm hoping that the decisions aren't just being made from the point of view of the, you know, the husband, but that there is the conversation that's going on in the background, because this is, you know, so much better. I didn't think that it was a, you know, John, that you were treating all women as your object. I thought it was a teacher thing. And with the teachers, it's kind of like everybody else in the room, shh, be quiet, I'm the one who's talking. And so, occupational hazard. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. It's very kind. Reverend Sadie, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Good morning, Reverend Itaka, brothers and sisters. I think key point we got this morning, or I got this morning from Daniel is, you know, the unity of the husband and wife is when the next stage can happen. And I'm just remembering what the president of Palau said, you know, all the islands, we know that women are there, you know. So sometimes I think, you know, when I feel this kind of feminist element, and you know, and also these apologizing men, then it's sad, you know, because it's a natural thing, actually. there's a place for mother leadership in the family, and you naturally defer to that. I speak from, always deferring to my mom as the confidant and and I think that goes for a lot of people. Is that mother leadership is different from father leadership, and it's not a gender thing. Or I think why the men not listening to mother is it's just like the children not listening to parents, So it's not necessarily a gender thing. As you can see, I'm wearing an orange ribbon. 16 weeks of violence and against violence in families happening at the moment in Samoa, and we're partnering with many NGOs to do things. But yeah, I think we have to be careful our stances on things, and I don't always like how it's a divisive approach. It's not it's not gender, or it has to be looked at from the original concept. And even I dare say there's a timing to things, So anyway, just throw it out there. Oh, my daughter wants to say something.
That was very, very close to what I wanted to put forward. It was much more about the unity between men and women rather than in competition with each other. But anyway, yeah, thank you.
Morning, everyone. I find it funny that some people are saying there's not many women leaders, because I just recalled in Oceania and in Africa, maybe it's going to be different in the next generation, because obviously I was asked to be leader of our youth in Oceania by Daniel, and Mika is currently taking care of the entire African region. So I think if you're hoping for more women leaders, I'm sure it's going to happen in the next generation. And also, we went to an event as YSP 2 days ago. My brother is over there, and one of our cousins, he was a panelist for my brother's media team, and I was another panelist to talk about this ending violence against women, and also the ideal man and ideal woman. And one of the points that our cousin said, it was very it was well received by the audience, is he said, woman, the wife can support the husband. She will always be there to support the husband, but she's also the one to let him know when he's done something wrong. And I think that's kind of like another power of the woman. Like sometimes we like to think, oh, we're women, we have to be like men when we're strong. We have to be like, aggressive, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I get like that because I was born in this generation. But actually, you have to really appreciate that feminine side of woman, because that's also powerful. Like, I think, remember back in the day when the wife, I forgot which nation, but when the wives did, excuse my language, but when the wives decided not to have sex with their husbands so that the husbands can change their way they're running the nation. I forgot the story, but I'm sure most of you know it. Like, there is that power of persuasion of women that I think exists, and I don't think that can be discounted, and that I don't think that being more quiet, or some people don't like the word submissive, but I think that has a power in itself as well. And yeah, I know, this is what I'm thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Greg, go ahead. Then Debbie after. Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we're living with our son and daughter-in-law and the kids. We have 2 kids, 2 grandchildren here, and so in the night time, the children's competition is to to go to sleep with mum, and so it's like there's no way. It's like the mum. She did just about everything to bring those kids up, you know. Had the conceived in just from one sperm, and then all the other cells, you know, in the mother's body, you know, go through all kinds of difficulty during pregnancy, have the baby, nurture the baby, you know, with milk, and just, I mean, there's no way in the world the father can compete with that. It's like those children there's nobody in the world who can replace mum. You know, it's just like, it's just, as Seti's saying, it's just natural. And so they want mum, and then, you know, our son wants, you know, to take one of them so the young one can go to sleep. You know, they're crying and crying. Why? Because they want mum. They want mum, you know. 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It's like nobody in the world can replace mum, you know, for any of us. It's sort of like there's the father nature of God, there's the mother nature of God. They're different, but they're equal. You know, they're equal, yeah, in, you know, value and everything, but they're different. You know, and that's where the power lies. The power of love is the power of the mother. You know, nothing can replace that. You know. Anyway, just another comment to add to this.
Thank you, Greg. Go ahead, Debbie.
I remember one time True Father was talking to Reverend Kamiyama, and he said, if you want to, you know, do you go directly to your children, or should you go through your wife to your children? And True Father said, you have to go through your wife to your children. So anyway, it was an interesting thing that he said, you know. That's all, just that one point.
Thank you. Thank you. And the last person, go ahead, Tim. Need to unmute.
Good morning. In our case of our couple, because Margaret is the local person here, and also because of the really amazing family that she comes from, she has a lot of internal commitment, and beyond commitment, she has intuition about God's work, how God is moving things within the society. And so really for me, it's been sometimes not easy to take a back seat, but countless times I've realized that my point of view in vis-a-vis Palau's, the mission in Palau, is not the correct one. So yeah, the women's leadership is very real in our case. And for me, I've had to really grow into that, into supporting my wife and not trying to always put my point of view in. So anyway, grateful to hear everybody sharing this morning, and let's be the ones that really cultivate this age and support our women folk and really hear the voice of Heavenly Mother. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone. It's now time for us to offer our unison prayer. So I'll just share the screen. Let's begin. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And Chombo's happening later this afternoon. Those and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel. Daniel, thank you.
Bye-bye.